Hello everyone, and so hello everyone. Thank you so much for coming out today. On this fine evening of Christmas Eve, the whole team of EquiCode is really excited and delighted to have our launch event, Looking Beyond Tech. EquiCode is a community to encourage equal learning, to cultivate a diverse learning environment, but more importantly, to inculcate a beginner-centric tech culture as well. And that's all what we're going to discuss today. And we have our really special panelists with us today, Aditya Oberai and Ankita Mishra. So Ankita ma'am has been in the community since a long time, and she has been also working at the India Community Manager for Progate. And Aditya has also been working as the MLS coach and as a gold MLS as well. And thank you so much to both of you for agreeing to be a part of it. We are really honored to have you with us today.
Thank you, Khushi.
Thanks a lot,
Thank you so
Kushi.
much.
Hey everyone, thanks a lot for
Hi.
joining in.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think we should like directly start off with something fresh so that our audience would also feel like comfortable and chill
Right.
up. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
just a very chill question to both of you would be, what has been your story until now? Like, you have been in the community since a long time, and there are so many people who are just starting out, and they would love to know like what has been your story, what has been your that particular prevalent experience which just marked everything different.
Right. So
It's a nice question.
it's like telling about everything from the starting till today. So may I, Aditya?
Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay.
Okay, nice. So thank you, Kushi, for the question, and thank you everyone who have joined with us live today. And I would take up this question because I was also a beginner, just like you people. Maybe most of you are in college right now. So I graduated in 2018 as a computer science engineer. So when I went to college, maybe most of you could relate. When I went to college, I opted for computer science just because my parents told me to. Otherwise, I was not inclined towards computer science in the very beginning. But after that, what happened when I went to college and I started meeting new people, I started interacting with my seniors, I got to know about technology. So I joined some technical clubs of my college where I could contribute to the community, contribute to the students, help students, because I was a beginner myself. Uh, like First and second year went through like this, like doing community activities, helping students, going for various events, organizing events. But in my third year, I did one research internship in NIT Durgapur, and there was one mentor for me. Her name was Besaki Chakrabarti, and she changed my perception towards technology. So she was the one who actually introduced me to Python and natural language processing. So I worked on a very small project there, but that was something very different for me because for the first time I was able to code properly. I was able to write my code properly. And at that very moment, I decided that maybe I wanted to help the students who are struggling in this field to get into the field of programming. And this phase went off. Like my fourth year ended, I graduated, I got campus placed in a company in Indore. I was not happy with my job because I wanted to do some community stuff. I wanted to help people around me. So I met Yashraj, if some of you must be knowing. So he did one of the events in my college, and I got to know about community management from him. I read a lot of articles, and I thought that, yes, this is something which I want to do. I gave a lot of interviews, I got various rejections. So this is something, a phase which goes in everyone's life. So you get to see a lot of rejections. I also got a lot of rejections. Then eventually with time, within like 3 to 4 months after my graduation, I got the chance at Progate community. So yeah, that was the phase. Since then, it's been like 2.5 years, and I'm doing a lot of tech events, talking to various beginners, helping them around. And this is what I actually wanted to do, staying connected with my own field as a computer science engineer, and also help beginners to take their first steps towards programming, coding. So yeah, that's all about my journey till now.
That's really cool. Uh, I mean,
Almost like
yeah, like
well,
being
but
a
yeah.
student right now, I think I see some of that struggle since, internship time is here. So,
Yeah.
like for me, because of when my actual
Mhm.
entry with coding and tech started back in school, because
Oh.
I had CS in school, and
Mm-hmm.
I my actual first proper start was R of Code back in 2013. That was the year it came
Wow.
out for the first time. And
Hmm.
the time we had that whole Angry Birds and Plants vs Zombies games. This was before Microsoft got involved, and there was no Minecraft there as well. But that really got me interested. That was the first thing. And then I tried out Java in school because I had ICSE, ISC, we had Java in the curriculum. So doing that, I ended up in college, chose CSE. By my choice, I wasn't forced. I'm so happy I can comfortably say I wasn't forced into this degree. And yeah, so I was in a residential school. We were anyway used to so many curriculums. I was like, if I
Mhm.
come to college, I'm not going to be the one who sits just in class or studies. I'm not going to do that. And somehow the 9 CGPA did not attract me as much as these things happening outside class, those clubs and all did. So I entered those clubs, I started working, and I started working in the toughest role that was available because there was no competition in that role and there was sponsorship work. So that's where I started off, and that was our tech fest. And that year we had our first ever 24-hour hackathon, and we worked in that, and that was a good experience for me.
Mhm.
And during those events, I saw some people coming from outside, and I saw something called the Campus Expert, the GitHub Campus Expert, and then there was this whole thing of Microsoft Student Partners. I think because we had that little standee there, and that's when I heard of this little thing. That I didn't know about external communities until that point of time, and this was closer to the end of first year. So after that, I filled in the application, and second, so because it closes in June, and at that point at least, and now they've changed the format a bit, but June it closed, June July it closed, and then September I got the mail that I was accepted. So September last year, I went out for my first meetup, and that was the .NET Conf local event in the Microsoft Gurugram office that was organized by Geek 97, the same folks who organize NG India. And there was all different MVPs and all. And that's actually when I started getting a taste of what's happening in communities outside. Because for us, at least club activities were cool, but it was very, very different from what was happening outside. So that really got me interested, and I remember. So that same weekend, Saturday was .NET Conf, and Sunday was DevFest, New Delhi, and that had over 1,000 people, and that was a crazy event. And that was definitely that's when I realized how huge communities can be because it was specifically told that there was about 1,000, 1,100 or something people out of 4,000 plus applications. So at that point, I could imagine the scale of what's happening around. And that's when I realized that this is actually something really cool and something that people can take back a lot from. Because otherwise, why would you ever see 1,000 plus people at at an event like that? You're there, you're spending the whole day, and yeah, I mean, because I was traveling, I'm studying in Noida, so I had to travel up and down from Noida, and that's crazy in its own place.
Yeah.
Especially as a student, since you can't, you're not roaming around in your own cars if you're from out of town, or you're not taking cabs because that's too expensive as a student. So this up and down for 2 days consecutive from Noida to Gurgaon is actually takes a toll on you. But I think that was probably the most exciting weekend so far in college for me because I never knew that this sort of stuff was happening. And then I started getting more active. Then I started going out. I tried a few things in college. Then I went out, had my first event outside college. And that first event outside college was incidentally my first collaboration with Progate. And
Wow.
it was an event we did in Delhi. And again, we collaborated through Yashraj because Yashraj had been active. He was a former student partner. He had been active. So we met him through one of the WhatsApp groups for Bangalore
Yeah.
and we tied up for that. And that was a lovely event. So since then, we knew about Progate. And working more with student partner, we had the Student Partner India Summit, which was really cool. We had our global lead over from the US. And then we had NG India, which was again a huge event. We had Angular developers from all around the country. In fact, some from abroad as well. Speakers, half of them were from abroad. And that was a lovely event. It's just for me, I kept getting more and more involved with communities as a student,
Mhm.
and it really captured me. So, um, that was also the time when COVID had started setting in. Because I remember I was supposed to travel to Singapore in Feb through student partner, and that trip got cancelled because of COVID. And then we had the lockdown. But luckily for me, just barely less than a month into the lockdown, we saw an opportunity come from Progate, and that was the community intern. And I luckily got that part. We had a trial, we had that application, and I luckily got the part. And then I stayed active with Progate in that role for 5 months. Then I took a break just to focus a bit on academics and other stuff. And after that, I returned to Progate because Progate is awesome. Just through all of this in the middle, I also started getting more and more active with hackathons. So I had been active as an organizer in the past as well through college. I started getting more active as a student and more in speaker or mentor roles. And that's where I fell in love with hackathons. Just with all a mix of all three of those was really just a lot of perspective for me. And that really excited me, to be honest. So that's when I got active more and more with MLH. And then we ended up speaking at their conference as well. They had a CF and I luckily got selected. I did not expect to be honest, but I luckily did. So that was a great start for me, and all of that, all of these things just combined, working with that whole rush has got until this point. Yeah.
Yes, so like this seems pretty much my story as well, but keeping that aside for now. So like let's just get back to like come back to the next question. So
Yeah.
a part of EquiCode majorly focuses on the beginner-centric tech culture. Like a lot of communities are obviously focusing on that, but we want to make it a point because we want all our freshers to feel to feel welcome to this community, because it might be that this community is like it's a vast community and people might feel a little bit left out when they'll be in their initial state. That's what happened with me, frankly, and that's one of the reasons which motivated all of us to start with this initiative EcoCode. So, like, this brings me to my next question, which is like, what do you think needs to be put up exactly in the mind of beginners, when they're starting up with their journey, when they're just entering in this phase? And, like, what do you think? Like, what should be their mindset when they're just about to start up with all this? Ankita, would you like to answer this first?
Yeah, sure. So, because I am handling beginners community only since past 2 years, so with my experience, because in my college days, I was also a beginner in programming, and I also struggled a lot. Like I contacted a lot of seniors, I had a lot of mentors from different companies. They were guiding me. But when you are a beginner, that comes into your mind. I have heard from many people, but what should I start with? What should I do next? Right? You always know that you have many people around you to guide you, to help you, but still, what you should follow. So that always come into your mind. So for me also, it happened with me. I was struggling a lot in the beginning, but like I mentioned that I got a mentor at the towards the end who she actually told me to code for the first time. So, for me, I would say to all the beginners who have joined us today or who will be watching this recording later, like it always happens that when we are a beginner, that comes into your mind that maybe I won't be able to do it. Don't think in that way, right? Take small steps. You might fail in between, but definitely you're going to achieve something with that. Take small steps. Why I'm saying take small steps, because just can't jump from 0 to 10, like just going from 0 to 10 at one go. Taking the first step, crossing from 0 to coming from 0 to 1 is very tough. It will take a lot of efforts. You might feel demotivated. You might feel, no, I'm not able to code. This is not something which I can do, right? But at the end of the day, what you can do is keep yourself self motivated. Maybe write on a wall. I remember I used to have a desk in my hostel room, and there was a light over there, so I used to just keep it, that believe in yourself. So that was a poster which my one of my junior actually created for me when I was in my third year. So he was a very good artist, so he created believe in yourself for me, and that actually motivates me today also. When I'm stuck somewhere, when I'm not able to solve a problem, when it comes to community side, I just read out that you have to believe in yourself and you have to take small steps. First step might be harder, but if you are going to achieve it, you will be feeling that yes, I have achieved something. And then next steps you can follow like similarly on the longer go. So for the beginners, it's really good that you are starting somewhere. And because I have a bit of experience, talking to beginners since past few years, so I can say that I have seen a lot of beginners facing a lot of problems, but I have also seen them achieving something by themselves. If you want to become a programmer, start somewhere, build your small projects, learn something. Don't run for like every programming language. Choose any one language and start from there, right? If you like HTML CSS, go with HTML CSS. If you think you like C++, or maybe you like Java, right, or Python, choose one language. If you're just going in college, all of us know that in college every semester we have new languages, so that creates a confusion in our mind. So that happened with me also. So don't go with the college things. Let's keep it a bit separate. If you want to start with your beginner friendly course, start with one language. Don't stop. Just keep trying, and build something. If you want to get into the software development side, do some practical implementation. This is something actually I keep on saying in every session of mine with Progate. But for you all also, I'm saying that do some practical implementation. If you're learning to code, do some practical implementation, because that will only help you to have a feeling of accomplishment, that you have made something by yourself, and that will give you a confidence that you will be able to learn next and build something next. So yeah, keep up the enthusiasm and keep coding and building something by yourself. Yeah, that's for the
Yeah.
big ones.
That makes so much sense, and I can endorse that being the beginner here. One thing that is very important is to any beginner who's started off, don't try to compare yourself with people who've been doing that stuff for 5 years, 10 years. I
Right.
This is such a common thing where people see someone doing something really cool on social media, and then you find some buzzwords there, and then people are
Right,
like, they've done this much, I can't do this, I'm too scared, and they leave that stuff. Don't do that. See, the
Yeah.
thing is that, when you're at your first steps, you shouldn't compare yourself with someone who's at that 10th or 20th step, because they've gone through those 10 or 20 steps. So,
true.
I mean, everyone is starting at that point, right? And reaching that point will require effort, it will require time. And if you put that in, you're going to get there. But, the moment you start thinking that someone else is doing so much amazing stuff, and then, that seems like it's very scary, that's no reason to actually stop working. That just means that that can be a target to reach, and then you work towards a target, and then once you hit that target, you find another target to work towards. So that's one thing. And the second is that all of these things, the 20 steps ahead, you might think at this point of time it's very complex. Once you reach there, you're going to find it isn't as much. So don't think so. If you think, you find this little code and you think it's very complex, don't let that scare you. That, don't be afraid of what might happen in the future. Because I remember, so I started working with this thing called Xamarin, and that's a .NET based framework for cross-platform apps. And when I started, I thought, I don't know, this is going to be crazy, because at that point, I hadn't tried any development at all. I did not know web development at all. I hadn't tried Android or iOS, and I thought, I know what this will be. This will be insane. And then I just tried it, and I made a little thing, and then I worked at another thing, and before I realized what was happening, my project was coming together. And today, if I show that to someone, they're gonna be like, this is really cool and crazy. And the fact is, I know what I had to invest in that. I know how much time I had to spend in that. And it really is shinier. It looks shinier than it actually is. So don't let that scare you.
So
Yeah.
like in my case, actually it turned out real good because when I started out, so like Aditya and like we both are from the same college, and I knew he was a part of MLSA. So actually, I came to know about Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador by his like his story. Like I knew about it. Okay, so this was something. Then I researched about it, and I still remember Aditya published like a blog about it on Medium, which is
Ah,
like a
yeah, that was long back.
about MLSA. And when I was
Yeah.
was just giving out my application for MLSA, I actually visited that blog like maybe 10 times a day. When I was in that application whole process, I was like, okay, what I have to do? Okay, now let's see again what he wrote about it and everything. So that actually turned out good for me because I actually got inspired by it rather than just losing hope and giving up about it. But yeah, so that turned out good for some people. So don't just like lose hope for that. So
That reminds me, there's something I just have to add one more last thing, and that is you don't need to find people at big companies and all to learn. You can learn from anyone, you can learn from everyone. Fact is, I think for even with me personally, I try to observe as much as I can wherever I can. And just because someone might be endorsed by a brand does not guarantee that you will be able to receive the value that you think you want from them. And
True.
just because you're not able to find a mentor at a big org doesn't mean that you can't find mentorship or learning anywhere else. Um, because to be honest, so let me give you a lovely example here. um, Khushi is an I'm remarkable facilitator as well, and while Khushi is in such a lovely way talking about how she saw my blog on that, fact is she's senior to me in that program, and I did an event with her. I learned from what she was talking there, and it really doesn't matter who's junior, who's senior, who's at what company, who's endorsing which brand. You can learn from anyone and everyone. Fun
True.
fact, my portfolio that I recently built with just HTML and CSS, started learning JavaScript now, was actually from a person. So, one of my fellow ambassadors was organizing an event at their college, and I just joined in that I'll also join in. And this person was just working with their computer club, and I knew the person. But this person is not someone, he's not been very active in communities outside college. And I think I have to say till now, he was probably one of the best facilitators or instructors that I have seen. So it really doesn't matter which brand a person is endorsed by. You can learn from anyone who you can find and who you think you can connect with.
Yeah.
thank you so much for that. I feel blessed now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
I really like this idea of like telling people that mentors don't have brand, right? They are just mentors. So you don't have to look for a brand name in them. So yeah, really good point, Aditya.
yeah, so like someone in the comment section actually mentioned something about it. So while he also brought up something from history, that history knows good mentors have brought out some of the greatest humans known to mankind. Take Chanakya and Chandragupta. Thank you so much
Oh yes.
for giving us
I
such a
Wow.
good
very
idea.
true. My mentor choice has really defined my current career path. So it makes a huge impact. Yeah.
True.
Yeah, right. So let's move to the next aspect of it. So when I started out with my tech journey, and I wasn't really aware of what I had to do particularly. Gradually, I missed out a lot of opportunities. But now, when I look back to it, I also feel like if I would have applied for any kind of that opportunity, I don't think I had that kind of experience that could have been well put to achieve that probably. And while I really hope that you both will agree to me with this point that personal branding is a very important aspect in this whole journey. The way how you present yourself, the way how you present your portfolio, your resume in an interview, or even in an internship, in any kind of application, I think that plays the whole game there. So, what do you think? Because people are just starting out. When I was starting out, I don't think I would have put anything in my personal branding as well. So I think people also feel kind of left out. Like, how can beginners and freshers build their personal brands in the initial stage? So, Aditya, would you like to take this first?
Yeah, sure. So, even when Wait started, um, I think this is something that this is a mistake I would have made, and I did have that sort of a thing, at least luckily, until I got corrected at the very right time in the start. And so, even when I started in college with the little organizations and societies I was working with, I used to put those brands over me. So, I would endorse the brand first and myself later. And I will not recommend someone to just focus on the brand they're working with and not focus on hi Ashraj.
Oh wow.
Oh, this is so cool. Yeah.
So both of us
So
mentioned the differences here.
yeah. Yash Raj will have a lovely time once he reminds. um, Yeah, so I always used to focus on the brand and keep the brand above my own work. And I think what I've read, I mean, luckily, just as I was starting off and it started going out, and just around the time in Jan that I mentioned, we had our summits and all of that. I met a few people who are very active in communities. I met Paras Pandir, the community guy. I met a few other people around that same time because that's also the time when I first interacted with Yash Raj because we were collaborating with an event then, and another few people. So like I also got to meet Ali Mustafa Sheikh in Feb, and these were people who I spoke with quite a bit. Um, these were discussions I had, and there was always one thing that I saw, and that is any person, all of these people, anyone else who I've seen and I've looked up to within the communities, they were all their own individual forces. I mean, if you look at Paras, if you look at Yashraj, another person, for example, Saurabh Rajpal, Google, they don't need their brands to tell their value. They've built that for themselves. And Ali, for example, this is a straight up conversation I've had, I think, multiple times with Ali at this point of time. And Ali Mustafa, he's the TensorFlow user group Mumbai lead, and he started TFUG in India. Before that, he worked with Crowdsource. And this is an interaction I don't know I've had many, many times. And this is one thing that I've always learned, and that is whenever you're working with a brand, at the end of the day, you choose to stay with a brand, you leave a brand, you have to always, be with yourself, right? You're presenting yourself wherever you go. Now, if you let your brand be the one that lifts you, then you're becoming dependent on that. So you're not supposed to be the one who's being uplifted by their brand. You're supposed to be the one who carries that brand. That is supposed to be the value that you carry. And the moment you start doing that, the moment you become a force within yourself, the moment you let your individuality stand out, you're anyway uplifting that brand, right? So it really builds a good circle where, if you've got your personal brand, then the brands you endorse will always be uplifted. They'll always um, grow. So yeah, definitely focus on your individuality. Don't just rush. Like you see this, someone's working with Microsoft, someone's with Google. Don't rush just because of that. Figure
Yeah.
out what you want. Let yourself be that individual force, and wherever you go after that, that organization is anywhere going to benefit because of you.
Right.
So yeah, so like yeah, Ankita,
Yeah,
would you like
sure.
to put some light on it as well?
Right, right. Like I completely agree with Aditya. So adding to him, what he mentioned, I really feel that everyone has some kind of values, goals, purpose in their lives, right? You have some strengths, you have some weakness. So personal branding comes that at that point. So if you have some kind of personal, you must be having some kind of personality trait. Like you might be like to help people around you. You might be selfless, or you might be good at speaking. You are maybe introvert. So find your those traits. So for a beginner, I'm telling it from your beginner point of view. So if you know that you have some interesting stories, you have some life experiences which can actually help others around you, and someone has praised you about that in the past, maybe. So take out those positive points and then start at that point. Why is it important? Because it can actually help you leverage your connections. So if you are very active towards building your personal brand, right, you will have good online relationships with people. So as Aditya also mentioned that you will be definitely getting that confidence, and if you have your own personal brand, you will be able to have that brand will be like known because of you as well. So don't look for the brand, but make your own self as a personal brand. Why? Because your credibility will grow when most of the recruiters these days are like going to your social media profiles, like mostly like LinkedIn, right? So so whenever we hire people, right, whenever we hire at Progate, maybe community interns, so we check out their LinkedIn profiles. So the same way, maybe when you are building your own profile in the beginning, you might not be able to reach out to a lot of people, but eventually with time you will be able to create that network, meet new people, make new connections, find out your own strengths. So start doing that you always, right? What I have a small example for you all. So you must be seeing a lot of big brands, like whenever you see have their own like brand people, right? Someone is endorsing big celebrities. So you don't have to be a celebrity, you have to be a unique
Yeah,
human, which you are, right? So that will really
absolutely.
help you grow your personal brand. So find out your own goals, find out your own strengths, and value that, and start working on it from today itself. So that is my thoughts for the beginners.
So our audience has been quite interactive in the comment section, and I
Yeah,
will
I've just been
um,
seeing.
take some
I'll
We
just
have
questions.
some lovely folks in there. We've got Siddharth Dealwal, we've got Simran. Hey everyone, it's really exciting to see everyone here.
Right. So, like, we have some questions. Is it necessary to have a lot of mathematical knowledge about getting into the tech world? I think someone already answered it that there are a lot of fields in tech that don't require maths knowledge.
I am
But
not
yes,
good at math.
yes, yeah. Even I was not really good in maths. And this is a myth actually, that if you want to get into the programming side, you should know maths, right?
It's
It's
really
not.
more around logical thinking, I
Yeah,
believe. So, because
logic,
math
psychological.
requires that and it really allows you to hone that skill.
True,
But,
true.
if you've got that problem solving skill, if you've got that logical thinking skill, apart from a few domains, few very specialized domains, you don't need math everywhere.
Right.
right, and I think this is also like related to another question from another
Mhm.
user. Can a person from others team learn coding, and if so, what will be the benefits? So, yeah, I think
Yes.
we answered that. Of course,
Yeah. You don't
Answer
need
this
to
very
actually,
best.
you don't even need to be an engineer to learn to code. You
Yes,
can
right,
be from
exactly.
anywhere. Yeah.
right. So, yeah, not like that. And
What will
someone
be
asked,
the benefits? Okay, I think we missed
Oh,
that little part.
okay. Yeah.
Um, yeah, because at least at the end of the day, if you want to build something, now let's say for example, you're looking at, let's look outside tech companies. Let's look at Big Four, for example. Let's look at accounting firms. Let's look at financial firms. At the end of the day, all of these systems are working. Um, on computers, right? They're all working digitally, they're all working virtually. When you have those large amounts of data, when you have systems that are working online, having knowledge of computer science or coding will increase your versatility at the end of the day, even if that is not your dedicated domain.
Right.
So
right.
you're more well-rounded at that point.
So, Yashraj did put a very,
I really like this. Still.
I think we'll just agree to it. But maths is my favorite subject. Okay, no,
Love
yeah. So
that
I think
point.
so. We also have another question which Simran answered really well. What is the definition of brand you are talking about? To which
There
Simran
were two
replied.
brands that we discussed actually. Yeah. So
Yeah.
are the brands that we endorse, the external brands are the companies,
Right.
organizations, communities we work with. And then, personal brand for me is just your individual space and standing that,
Yeah.
Oh,
you carry with you.
yeah. So
I
that's what
think Simran
EquiCode.
also answered very well on the chats.
Yeah,
Yeah, our
there's
audience
lovely
is like quite
discussion around it.
interactive, and we are absolutely loving it as well. So yeah, EquiCode is also aimed for that. Like, we want people to build your personal brands without any specific background, because we have had our share of experience with that, and we know it becomes quite difficult to deal with that. So yeah, we have got some experienced people here who you can talk to as well. The next question we have is it necessary to have a computer science curriculum? Only then you can learn CS or IT? No, I don't think
No,
so.
no. I
I
am uh, I
have
am
to.
from biotech actually. So I had
Oh,
biotechnology.
Nice.
I have to say anything honestly great that or anything good or anything exciting I've done in tech has been outside class.
Yes.
Right, yeah.
So it really doesn't matter what you're
Yeah.
studying, where you're studying, you can always get into computer science.
True.
And so, what do a community intern does?
Oh, Aditya, if you want to go to a Progate community intern,
So,
I
at
think
least with Progate, what we were trying to do is, since Progate is an ed tech organization. We're focusing on coding education. So what we were trying to do was reach out to newer and newer communities which could actually be impacted by the offerings of Progate. So we were trying to find people in these new regions, take that experience there. One thing I have to very mention is very important. Community work is not sales. This is a question I have faced because
Yes.
as we focus on growth, yes, there is a focus on how fast you're growing, how quickly you're taking that experience and sharing it. But community work is not selling. That is something that I have to mention at the start. So, what we're doing is we're reaching out to people who can share this experience, who can try it out themselves, take it to these places, and actually allow people in these places to benefit from the offerings of the platform. Now, community development work is something we focused on. And while doing this, we actually created new programs and initiatives accordingly. With some other organizations, there are a few other activities also that community interns can work on. Sometimes it could focus more on just managing an existing base and interacting and engaging with them in order to increase that interaction, to increase that activity. That is another role, that something that comes within the domain of community management. And I think this is something that Ankita and Koshi can both correct me on, because Koshi's also been working as a community intern for some time. Ankita, of course, I don't have to say. So that's another
No.
aspect of it.
Yeah, so what Aditya mentioned is like completely right about. So actually, community depends from company to company's perspective.
Yeah.
So because we are an edtech platform, we have community events for the students, and community interns are the ones who are the face of our brand in their network, right? So it depends from brand to brand. So this was the perspective. So this community is actually there to help people around, right? Take their get started with their journey, irrespective of what brand they are in. So that will really help you if you want to get into the side of community. Yeah.
So I guess a follow-up question to whatever we were discussing about, how challenging you find your work as a community intern?
Okay,
Aditya.
so challenging here, that's a very open question, to be honest. So what I will just say is it'll be as challenging as it'll be as challenging as if you want to push your limits a lot and just try to get out there and see what is the best you could do, then it could be the most challenging thing in the world. But a very
Right.
important point to note here is that more challenging does not mean it can't be more exciting or more enjoyable. So, you might actually end up pushing your limits and working really hard, and it might be very, very tough. But, if you're enjoying that, it might just be the best thing ever for you in the world as well. And really, if you do not want to really push your limits, it could be lesser as well, something, working more in your comfort zone. So it really depends on how you want to work at it. And I've seen people work at it in both ways. And if, you're able to figure out what method works best for you, what method is more successful than you, then that is what it is. Yeah.
So I think we'll take up the last question and we'll just hop on to some last questions which have been prepared as well. So can you advise on how to create a strong community, which was actually one of my questions to Aditya.
Yeah.
Would you like to
um,
suggest to build a strong community? Because you have been working in the community since a long time, and I think you would be the best person to talk about it right now.
okay, sorry. Were you Ankita, do you want to take this first? I think I really feel you should take this one first, maybe.
Okay, so I'll
Yeah.
take this first. Then, can you advise on how to create a strong community? So, what I will say is that communities are not built in one day, right? You just can't build a strong community in just one day. So, in this also, you need to start really small. Make sure that your members, even if it's a community of 10 people, right? You engage with them, you help them grow, understand, be keep active communication. So what is important for me while I build a community, like be it about our event people or maybe others, right? So for me it's important that I help them around first of all, so that they can feel that they are they are able to get answered with their queries. Then second is keeping active communication with them. So active communication, why is it required? So that we actually get to know that what is important for them, and how we can help them out, right? The third thing is feedbacks. Taking feedbacks is very important. So how feedbacks help us is like you when you are creating your community, right? There might be many people. Some of them might be liking the way you are doing your community events with them, but some of them might not be liking it. So take feedbacks and try to improve and work on them, and definitely it can help you grow and make your community strong. So these three things, if you are keeping in mind, what I feel is that you will be able to make a strong community. You won't be able to make a very big community in the very starting, but definitely start small, and in the maybe in few days or maybe years, you will be able to bring make a small, good, engaged community. So yeah, that's important from my side. So Aditya, what's your take?
Give
Yeah,
give
I
give.
as you
Yeah, I mean,
mentioned.
there were some lovely points there.
Yeah.
One thing that I feel about communities is, at least if you're starting off a community on your own, if you're starting from scratch, really you have to just start by focusing on the value you're creating. It doesn't have to just be, you don't have to start with clickbait. You can't do that. Please don't, because I've seen quite a few people do that. I think to some extent, even at the start, we've tried that sort of stuff as well, clickbaity stuff that can bring more people in, and it doesn't help later, because what happens is that your value proposition gets lost. So make sure that even if you're starting small, and it's totally all right to start small, you
Yeah.
know the value you create, and you do that consistently. Because if you constantly keep creating that value, your community members become advocates for you without you having to tell them to. And that really is one of the best things you can ask for, at least if you're creating your own community. So make sure that you know what value you're trying to create, and just keep contributing, keep sharing. It can be, it could be in the form of articles, sessions, meetups, and just make sure at the end of the day, as much as you might be the lead, you might be the founder, you might be the one who's created it all, but no one in your community is bigger than the community. Your focus has to be the people there with you, and they're with you, not under you. So you have to work at it accordingly, because these are your peers. They're not your juniors. They're not someone who you're telling that you're supposed to do this or do that. You're helping people figure out their own way and path, and you're trying to share that journey with them. So at the end of the day, you're all trying to learn and grow, right? It's supposed to be an equitable win-win for
Yeah.
everyone. So
True.
just make sure that whatever you do as you keep growing, um, you're ensuring that no one person becomes bigger than the community.
So we have got another question, which is about internships mainly. So I actually want to do an internship which involves my technical skills. So how should I be picking where I should do my internship from, as in the parameters? Ankita, would you like to take this?
Right. So, as in the parameters, if you mean like which skills you should focus on, does that mean? Am I right?
I think it's a
What
very
do you
broad
think?
question in its
Yeah,
own
I think
place.
it kind of covers the broad range, but I think like it depends quite on your
I
skills.
believe that if you've built a certain skill set, maybe then
Right.
how should
Right.
you go about getting that internship?
Oh, okay. So yeah, I feel that if you have the certain skills at that particular time, and how you should be picking up the internship from. Okay. So what I feel is, if you have the right skills, if you think that you have skilled up enough, you have good projects, if you're talking about the technical side. So I feel that maybe you can just try, first of all, try connecting with people. This also helps, right? You might be having people around you who are actually looking for a technical skilled person just like you. So try connecting with people over LinkedIn who are actually looking for, follow them, like maybe interact with them. Sometimes I can see a lot of students just messaging hi on the LinkedIn. Don't do that. Never do that. What you can do to the HRs, just in a line or two or three, just message them what you are looking for in that company, and if you want, what kind of internship you want, and maybe sharing your resume with them in the first message itself. So that will solve the purpose of that, the recruiter asking you what why did you message them, right? Sometimes they don't even reply back. So for that, I would suggest that maybe you can do some make some connections over LinkedIn. This helps a lot these days. And definitely, like if you have the right skills, you can also check out the pages of various websites and look for internships. So that is my take. Like right now, I think LinkedIn is trending to get internships. So maybe you can reach out to a lot of recruiters who are hiring with the right skills you have. Yeah.
I got
Absolutely.
my community internship from LinkedIn, and
Yeah.
I got my community intern from LinkedIn and not in a typical way. So when I had applied, it didn't come as a LinkedIn job. It didn't come as that at all. It came as a post.
right,
And so my boss, my manager, that's Sean. Sean, he's the India Relations Manager. He's been working at growth activities for Progate within India, and he works from Japan. And I was connected with Sean because I'd heard of Sean through Yashraj because I'd met Yashraj in the community. And I was just seeing and I just found that, one day Sean posted about this. And I
Yeah.
filled the form, and then there was a trial, and I got the position. And
Yeah.
so, I think for some, if anyone's seen my LinkedIn, there's two positions that I've worked at Progate. Funny thing about the second position wasn't released anywhere. I only got to know because I had worked in the past. And that's what happens that, once you build that relation with people, once you do that work, once you get that start, you're gonna see that your network helps you a lot. Your connections, your acquaintances, your community essentially. That's one big advantage of community. You end up finding so many opportunities that you would never know of otherwise. And it makes a huge impact at the end of the day, your community and your network, because I can guarantee for a fact that anything good I'm learning right now, probably 99% of the growth that I've had is because of things I found in the community.
yeah,
That's
right. So I feel like we have come to an end of the session, although I don't want to end this because it's been so much interesting and engaging. But like, yeah, I our audience has been really, really interactive in the comment section.
I'm
Thank you.
really loving the activity here.
yeah.
Siddharth, Simran, Shivang, there's so much activity going around here.
They are just,
And
I think, communicating themselves on the chats.
It's that's it. That's exactly what's so
Yeah,
great about community. You have
true.
people who are ready to help anywhere. It doesn't just have to be someone who's in the live stream. You can
Yeah.
find great mentors, great people to take help from out there, anywhere in the chats, on Twitter, LinkedIn, anywhere you want.
Right, and thank you so much everyone for coming out. We have got 37 people live in our first launch event. I
Oh,
think that's
that's
pretty
really
great.
good.
Yeah, so thank you so much for coming out. And if you have come here so far, and Ronit Jen says to Sijario,
I think
yes,
we could just
will
maybe do
definitely
one
come.
little thing in case anyone has any queries left. So
Right, yeah.
we could just
So you can definitely catch up to another event as well. We're not going anywhere. And so someone is also saying, actually, the conversation is and
Everyone is saying to see now.
like people are, yeah, but we'll definitely come back. So thank you so much. Thank you, Aditya. Thank you, Ankita. It was a wonderful session with you. And I believe that these kind of panels always makes it more interesting to be the part of a community and just make it so much more engaging and everything. And for all the audience out there who have been, being this much interactive and who have joined, thank you so much for coming out. And this was our launch event for EquiCode, and this was just the starting, folks. You can just, if you have come so far, please just follow us on Discord, Instagram, LinkedIn. We are trying
yeah.
Yes.
to help other
About
people.
the Discord, if anyone has any queries and all, and or even if you want to chill, just come to the Discord, just ping us. We'll sit in the voice channels, get a little
Right.
cup of coffee, and relax. So just join that Discord. That's gonna be a lot of fun.
Right. So we are going to come up with more and more interesting events. And do follow us, do join us. EquiCode is actually on a mission to build a community which is a beginner centric, personal brand building community. Thank you so much, Ankita and Aditya, for joining us for today. And thank you so much to everyone who have been there. Thank you, Simran. Thank you, Siddharth. Thank you, Shivang. They have been our low-key co-panelists, as they mentioned specifically.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you so much, and we'll see you again